Welcome back. This is my demonstration of an advanced research being done on a JSTOR database with the ultimate goal of searching for information about a specific artist to bolster artist statements or to really have a lot of information for artistic influences that you need to write about. If you're writing an in-depth history paper about a very specific artist, we are going to be using Georgia O'Keeffe and her life as an example. As you can see on the JSTOR homepage, you can even see here they're using a painting of Georgia O'Keeffe. She's one of the most famous artists. So to get started, say you've already done the basic search. You have all of these keywords over here already done. You've pulled out a lot of things about her life. You have some defined research questions. Maybe you even have a couple of other sources that you know are legitimate sources that you're going to look up. So now you want to know, how do we actually really use JSTOR to the fullest? One of the things I recommend you do after you've signed in with SJSU, which is going to show up here at the top, access provided by San Jose State University, you might also want to be able to save things in JSTOR specifically. Now that is going to be using Workspace. When you click on Workspace, it will ask you to sign in. Now I am already signed in, so you can see up here at the top it shows me my email address. That means that I am signed in. Once you're actually signed in and registered, you can create workspaces within JSTOR yourself to save folders. So I have a folder here saved for Georgia O'Keeffe images that I'm going to talk about specifically when I need to talk about artistic influences. So say hypothetically you want to do some searches for just images. We've already done this a little bit in the basic search, but we're going to start here with Georgia O'Keeffe and flowers, okay? Because like I said, I paint a lot of flowers. Say you find an image that you really like, you think this is exactly what I want, and you want to be able to save it for later. Now remember, you can always cite it here, which I always recommend that you note down the citation, which gives you a link to come back here and put this on a separate document, as well as you can download an actual PDF. But if you just want to save it right now, since you are logged in your specific workspace and you have the access provided by the university, you can click Save. And it's going to give you the option to save to the folder you've created, and you hit Save. Now it's always going to come up in Workspace. Now again, this only works if you have signed up and registered through JSTOR, as well as being signed in through the San Jose State University. So one of the other things I strongly recommend you do, you have access to this handout. On every single search you do, if you'll scroll down here, you'll see I can literally cite one of these sources. I copy and paste it, and I'm going to put it in one of my pieces over here so that I have it for later. So when I need it, it'll give me a hyperlink that I can go ahead and just jump right back to. It gives me a citation I can work off of. Remember, citation generators are not usually 100%, but it's a great place to start. And then I always can find the resource again when I need it. Okay, so say you've done the research, you've used this guide, you've talked about some different historical dates, you have a lot of information about Georgia O'Keeffe and starting, but now you want to do some more complex searches using JSTOR. If you go up to the top over here, you've got the workplace and you've got search. You can hit advanced search. Now in advanced search, you can look up and do as many keywords as you want. So say for instance, you want to search for Georgia O'Keeffe and Alfred Stieglitz, but you don't want to do just Alfred Stieglitz by himself because he is also one of the most famous American photographers. You want to search for them together. You only want items to come up that have both of them listed. And then maybe you want to scroll down and say you don't really feel like you want miscellaneous, you only want articles or books about the topic. Personally, I don't speak a lot of other languages, so I want them only to be in English. There's also a lot of other filters you could look in if you're looking for something very specific. I'm not going to use any of these right this second, and you click Submit Advanced Search. Now you are only searching for those very specific things. And you can scroll through, you can see this is listing an article that has Alfred Stieglitz and Georgia O'Keeffe in the same article. It's talking about both of them in the same one. And you could also narrow it down from here. You could also look for certain dates. So as you know, if you've already been doing your basic research, you know that in the 1920s, she became one of the most successful artists. And you know, in 1929, around 1930, she started really doing a completely different direction in her art when she visited New Mexico. So it could be you're really looking for only work and only things that happened after 1939. You could put in dates over here and search from only 1939. So this gives you a way to start looking for really specific things within the research that you might want to have for additional context. So another advanced search that you might want to do, say we just go back to advanced search, Say you want to look for, you've heard this term, mother of American modernism. You know that Georgia O'Keeffe is known as the mother of American modernism. And say you also want to know how this relates to New Mexico paintings. Okay, so you could put in, you can just try different terms in here. And I like to put things in quotes because some databases will automatically know to search for it as a phrase and others won't. So it's easier to just always put the quotes around it. And then you can just hit submit advanced search. And it's saying there's no results on that. You're going to have this happen sometimes. And the reason I did this is I want you to know that just because you hit a dead end doesn't mean that you did something wrong. This is often a very common thing that happens. And it just shows that maybe, you know, the keywords didn't work well together. Maybe they actually don't have any relation. So maybe you want to try something different instead. Maybe you want to go back to just Georgia O'Keeffe and American modernism. And you want to put that in. And you want to search for that. And you're saying, no, I'm still not finding anything. Maybe there's a problem. So you've done this research and you're coming up against dead ends, which is totally normal. Say you want to try, you pull out a different term that you want to look at. You want to look at radical modernism, which is another term that is associated with Georgia O'Keeffe. You put this in here and you hit submit advanced search. And you're getting 451 results. Say you click on one that you think is really interesting. You see an article, you click on it, and then one of the things that I think is really fun to do, say you really like this article, you're like, oh my God, this is perfect, this is exactly what I need. You can go over here to the cited by. Now these are all going to be other resources that have cited this specific item here. And I found that it is often a great way to look at how other people are talking about things, get related resources that you might need. And you can click on this and it's going to show you it's a book and how to get to it. It's also showing you a table of contents. If you're only looking for a specific part of it, you can download just the table of contents, just the introduction. Again, you can save it. So say you're just wanting to look at something, you want to save this for later, you can create a new folder in your workspace, okay? And you could title it Works that you want to look at, Works to look at, and hit save, create, and save. And now that's something that you can look at later, because sometimes it's good to get a whole bunch of resources up front and then go back and look at them later. All right, so then you want to go back. This is showing you right here that you were searching for radical modernism and Georgia O'Keeffe. So you've got two things. This is coming from your advanced search. So say you go back and you also want to look up one of the things that we talked about in the original video was room 291. So say you just want to go to all content, you want to start over and you want to look at room 291 and you want to see, does anything even come up with room 291? How does this relate? And you're seeing a lot of different things that maybe look a little bit too broad. You're like, this is way too many results to sift through. I don't want to sift through this many results. What you can do an advanced search. Okay, you go put in room 291. I put it in parentheses, not parentheses, these are quotation marks. And then you could put in Alfred Stieglitz, because you've seen that that is a name that regularly comes up. And then say you also want to do one with Georgia O'Keeffe, because you want to know how does this relate to the original artist that you're looking for. And then you hit submit search. Okay, you only got 2 results. We went from over 100,000 down to 3. Now this is giving you a very specific item. This is where you learn that Georgia O'Keeffe first had her work shown by Alfred Stieglitz, who you learned that room 291 is a really famous internationally known art gallery. So this might be a very specific source that you're going to want to include in your research. So now you're ready to go. You have gotten all of the sources you need. You can use this handout that I'm going to provide for you. You've gotten lots of keywords. You've gotten a couple other sources. For instance, on this one, I've put her own museum as well as the National Gallery of Art that has a lot of work for her. You've gotten some timeline and some extra context that you might want to talk about and read about and write about. And then you have all of the sources with permalinks ready to go that you got at JSTOR through your different searches. And I always tell everyone, just make sure you make a note that you can cite sources later. You can always come back to San Jose State for their LibGuides to ask questions. And now if for some reason while you're doing your writing and your synthesis, you're realizing that you're a little short on something, you have all the different keywords and all the different searches already ready to go. So you can just hop right back into JSTOR and do a little bit more researching. You have everything you need to get going and get started, and good luck and happy researching.